So how do parents motivate their kids to get off their devices and be more productive over the summer? How do we balance screen time with helping them with more creative, active activities? And so these are the challenges that parents face over the summer, and it can be really frustrating. My name is Mandy Frost. I'm an academic life coach. I coach parents to be coach parents, and I support them with coaching tools so that they can create more buy-in and ownership from their teenagers. I also coach students, teenagers, young adults, and I help them with executive function skills, those very skills that they struggle with, so that they can become more organized, time management, helping them with those skills that they struggle with so they can take more ownership and more responsibility. And so I love working with parents and students because I value a three-way partnership. As I coach parents to be coach parents and help the teenagers with more ownership, I help students get that ownership by helping them with the executive function skills. And so I love to work with students and parents, and it makes the coaching more meaningful, it makes the coaching more successful, and I just love connecting with parents when I coach their kids. And so that's kind of what I do. And so I want to, what's very relevant today in helping your kids with being more productive and more motivated, getting off their devices, it's important that the coach-parent mindset comes into this. And so I want to take a bit of time to explain what this is, because this is the key. Is the coach-parent mindset is moving from being the boss, manager, parent to being more of a coach, a boss, coach, parent. And so it's going from telling them what to do to helping them tell themselves what to do so they can take more ownership and be more self-directed. And so it's really about parents making a shift in their parenting and the way they show up. They're showing up as more of a coach than a manager. And so this takes a little bit of coaching tools and skills and techniques. And what that actually looks like, how do I direct my kids without telling them what to do? And so this is kind of what I do with parents. And so coming back to the challenges that parents face in the summer with motivating their kids to get off their devices, I've been asking parents what their greatest challenges are. And one of the replies that I got was, my teenager says, this is my time to relax. And so what I'm seeing a lot is teenagers are wanting more choice and they're wanting more control. And they feel like everyone's telling them what to do. They feel like they have to do their school, they have to do this, and they don't feel like they have enough choice and control. And that's why they end up going on their screens and being too much on their gadgets and not being so productive, because they feel this, they don't have enough control and they don't feel like they have enough choice. And so using the coach-parent mindset, we learn as parents, we learn to communicate in a new way. We have a new perspective, how we're showing up with our kids, and we help them to see that actually they do have choice and they do have control by the way we're showing up and how we're communicating with them. And so obviously they have choice within parameters, and the way we go about, the way we communicate with them helps them to see that they do have ideas and that they do have a lot to contribute. And so it really is about relationship, it's about communication. And so it's a new way of communicating, I guess, making a shift in how we see our kids and how we're showing up. And so this will make a bit more sense as I go along. And so looking at, getting them off their devices, helping them to be more productive, I'm going to be talking about 4 things today. And I'm really going to be just skimming the surface because it's a lot of information. And so I have a workshop coming up that you can sign on that will give you more of what this looks like, give you more practical tools of what I'm talking about today. And so I'll tell you a bit more about that at the end. And so the first thing we need to work on is, the first thing we need is a starting point. Where do I start? How do I start a conversation? Because you need to have a conversation about What are our expectations this summer? Where are we all going? What do you want to achieve? Because there needs to be goals set for the summer. There needs to be a family conversation where everyone's on the same page, where they know what their responsibilities are, they know what's expected of them, and that conversation is really important to happen. So that's where I would start. That's the starting point that you need to do, and to discuss what are our values. How are we going to stay true to our values? What are our values? And that could be another discussion to have. And so when they're clearer on the expectations, the responsibilities, you also want to be on the same page with regards to accountability. What if you don't do what you say you're going to do? What are the consequences? And so that would be, I call those connected, pre-planned connected conversations that families need to have on a regular basis, and so that everyone knows what to expect and everyone knows what those expectations are. The second thing I would do is you want to spark a reason. So you want to spark the reason to get off their screens. Find out what other options there are. Find what other things they can do. You want to inspire them to get excited. You want them to remember those things they used to love before screens. And, you remember when you used to enjoy artwork and you used to have this hobby? You want to create that excitement again. You want to inspire them to want to get off their screens. You want to show them that there are alternatives. And this is the important thing. Because often what happens is, parents want their kids to get off the screens, but then what is there? Do they have options? And so this is where my brainstorming tool comes in. It's not really not my tool, but it's a brainstorming tool that we forget to use because we're so busy being the managers. We're so busy telling our kids what to do that we forget that this is a very powerful tool. And so brainstorming ideas would be your second thing to do to create excitement. And this is where the coach-parent mindset comes in. This is where you get to ask questions, and that's what a coach does. Ask questions. A coach listens. A coach sees students and clients as creative and resourceful. So seeing your kids as having creative, resourceful ideas. And this helps with more cooperation, with more communication, because now when they see that their ideas matter and that you're interested in their opinions, they feel heard, they feel valued. Now you're creating more buy-in and motivation. And so when the ideas come from them, this really makes a big difference in what your summer looks like. And you're also inviting them into the conversation, and you are getting on the same page. And so you would be using questions. The coach-parent mindset would use questions like, what do you think would be great activities for us to do this summer? What could be a good plan? What are your ideas? And so, you really are getting them to think up what could work for everyone, and you co-creating together. You're co-creating a clear action plan that everyone is involved with. And so you're all members of the same team. And so brainstorming creates more buy-in, it creates excitement. They get to see possibilities. So as you brainstorm, and they get ideas, feed off ideas. And so as one of you gets excited, another sibling, can mention something else, and it really is helping them to see that there are other possibilities. You're reminding them what they used to like, as I've already said, and you're inspiring them to be more productive. Also, when you're brainstorming, you're helping them to see that they do have choice and they do have control, and that they do play a big part in planning what they get to do. I love the scripture, Proverbs 20 verse 5, and it says, the purpose in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. And that's what a coach parent does. You're drawing out possibilities. You're drawing out, you're helping them to see who they really are in Christ. You're helping them to see their capabilities, their abilities, who they were created to be. You're helping them to see that they can be productive and creative. And so you're also reminding them of them being creative, and giving them the confidence and the credibility that they really do have some great ideas. And so that's a good thing as well. Being a coach draws out potential, draws out what's really inside of each of our kids. And so the third thing I would want to mention is their destination. And so you need to have a destination. There needs to be goals set. when you can have family goals that you set, but each individual, each family member needs to have goals that they set for themselves. Where do they want to go? They need to know what that looks like. How are they going to achieve? What do they want to achieve at the end of summer? And so you're doing this together as a family. You're planning this sort of all the activities, and you're all having a part to play in where you're going. And then the fourth thing I want to mention is you've got to have a concrete plan. And so this is where I have a tool that I share with parents, and it's a step-by-step visual plan. I have lots of templates that I include in my workshops, and I'll tell you a bit more about it in a minute. It's step-by-step visual plans, how they're going to create goals, how they're going to set actions, because you want them to follow through, because when they have a goal without an action, it's just an empty wish. And that's why we don't end up achieving our goals, because you don't have an action plan of what that looks like. How are you going to follow through? How are you going to hold each other accountable? And what are you going to do? How do you know when it's achieved? And what are you going to do if you haven't achieved it? And when are you going to achieve it? And so this is one of the templates of the planning tools that I have. And so what it has a table. And so what your teenager does is they fill in their goal. They write down their goal. What activity or skill or challenge do you want to learn this summer? And so they write it down. So for example, it might be, I want to exercise for 30 minutes a day. That could be one of their goals, and they'll have a few goals for the summer. I want to exercise 30 minutes a day. Then in the next column, you have actions. Well, what is your action going to be? How do you envision doing that? And then your teenager will write in there, I'm going to exercise at 3 o'clock Mondays to Fridays, and it's all written down. And the next column would be, by when do you want to have this completed by? And so they'll fill that in and say, well, I think I can manage this for 4 weeks. Or they might think, I think I can only manage this for 2 weeks. And that's okay. Just small steps. It's got to be realistic. It's got to be something that they can achieve. And so they'll write down when they want to achieve this by. And then the next column is how they're going to support themselves to follow through, how you're going to remind yourself, so that you don't forget. You want them to be successful. You want them to follow through. And so they would write down there, well, I'm going to put a reminder in my phone, and so I don't forget. And so this is what they're choosing. They're choosing their actions. They're choosing what they want to do. They're choosing when they want to finish it by, how they're going to support themselves. And then the last column is how they're going to celebrate. And that's an important part. This is where their reward comes in. When you've achieved this goal, how would you want to celebrate? And they might say, oh, I'd love to go get frozen yogurts, as a family, if you can afford to do that. Or, that's the other thing, is you can brainstorm how you're going to celebrate together. And that'll be another conversation. What are the things we can do and that you want to work towards? And so this is what they also get to plan as well. They're more excited about it because it's an internal motivation. External rewards need to be something that they really want, but it's more got to be internal motivation. And so they'll write down how they want to celebrate. And so now what they do, which is really motivating, is they know exactly what their plan is, they know exactly what they want, and they know exactly what the reward's going to be. And so you will have this with each of your kids, and one of your kids will have a different goal and a different way of celebrating. And so they get to choose their activities for the summer, but there are requirements. They need to be productive before they can celebrate those things. And so there's a lot of choice, there's a lot of control, and so that helps them with more buy-in. And so what you can also do is, with these templates, when they write everything down, they actually see their progress. It's visual. They tick off the things that they've done, and it gives them a lot of motivation. It gives them direction. It shows them how they're on course. Are they still on course? What do they still need to do? It also helps them to think ahead and be proactive. These are executive function skills that are quite hard for them to think ahead, plan ahead, time management, what am I going to do, goal setting. This is helping them with these skills which they need for life. And the other thing is you can do is, as I said, each member will design their own specific plan, and you can have categories for them to choose from. And so you can say you need to choose an activity in categories: social activities, creative activities, outdoor activities, adventurous activities, volunteer activities. And so they get to choose something in each of those categories. And so they still get to choose within the parameters. This is what I would like for you, but you get to choose how you decide on those things. And so that's another way of doing it. And so let's just quickly recap what I've spoken about. You need a starting point. You've got to have a conversation, a pre-planned, connected conversation where you talk about where we're going this summer, what are expectations, what are our responsibilities, who's doing what are our chores. All of those things are important. Getting on the same page. Then the second thing is sparking a reason, brainstorming ideas of possibilities and what that looks like. The third thing is having goals. Now, once you brainstormed, you set your goals, decide what you want to do. These are the parameters, these are the categories, choose what you want to do. And the fourth thing is getting them to write it down, getting them to plan it in a visual way so everyone can see it, so everyone can see what each of your goals are. And it's also a way of encouraging the family, helping everyone stay accountable. And it's a great way of actually visualizing what you're doing, what you still need to do. So just to talk about the workshop that I have this week, it's happening this week on Thursday, is giving you more ideas of what this looks like, going into more detail with the tools and the templates and how they work. I'm going to have chore charts for you, weekly plans, daily plans, summer goals, also brainstorming summer bucket list ideas that you can use, templates that you can use together as a family. It just gives you kind of like, you don't have to think up, how do I do this? It's all straightforward. It's all there for you. You can print them out. They're resources that you can use. And so what this workshop will do is getting you all on the same page, helping you with those clear expectations and those goals. What does that specifically look like? Helping you to, when you set this goal, when you have a clearer way of what this looks like, you're going to avoid confusion and conflict. There's going to be less miscommunication because you want to, it's written down and it's clear and everyone knows what they have to do. It encourages accountability. You're also learning how to communicate as a coach parent, and you're communicating using more connected conversations, which helps with greater buy-in, motivation, using the coach parent mindset. And so I talk a lot more about the coach parent mindset and what that exactly looks like. What are some more questions I can ask? And so if you're curious about knowing about this, join the workshop. You need to register on Zoom. And you also need to, or you can join a private Facebook group. That's the best way to go, because the private Facebook group, everything's going to be in one place. The videos are all going to be there. The links are all going to be there. You can talk to me, ask me a question. We can, as parents, get onto that group. You can ask each other questions, brainstorm ideas. Hey, this worked for me, this didn't work for me, how did it go? So having a discussion after the workshop is really important, because that's how I want to support you. So joining the private Facebook group is the best way to go, or contact me for the Zoom link. You can certainly do that via email or through my website. And so I hope that this has been helpful. It really is just touching the surface. It's giving you a place to start. But you need to if you want more support over the summer, with support on what that looks like, the resources, then let me know and I will be very happy to support you, and I look forward to connecting with you.